Hey everyone, my name's Danny. I'm a filmmaker and visual effects artist. I've made a lot of these short, animated videos that you see here. That's why I was astounded last week when I saw Google's latest AI video project. I saw this collection of AI-generated videos sort of masquerading as a TV channel, and it feels like a blatant ripoff of my work. I don't think that Google trained its AI on my content, but I do think it's likely that someone over there saw my work and thought that they could exploit the ideas here. But it gets even worse, because I looked through the prompts that they used to generate the videos, and I'm 95% sure that the prompts were generated with AI. They're all structured the same, they have a lot of bizarre phrasing, and it sort of feels like the person told the AI to come up with a bunch of globally diverse homes. I mean, Italian Trullo, Nubian red mud hut, Cuban tobacco drying house? Who comes up with that? And this isn't so shocking, but they're not very good beyond a cursory glance. The mechanics are just a blurry mess, the legs move in an ugly, arrhythmic pattern. Is this person on a treadmill? Is this person even alive? I actually had to look up what that Cuban tobacco drying house is, and this isn't even one. If you're curious how I made mine, I scouted a real-life apartment building and manually created a 3D model of it. I textured, rigged, animated it, gave it lighting. I composited it into both drone footage that I camera tracked or full CG environments that I built from scratch. But does the time and effort that I put into mine necessarily make it better than these AI versions? The value of art has always been subjective. Does it require skill, effort, or intention? Some art doesn't require any of that. Let's assume that a painting of a beautiful sunset is art that holds value. The artist's effort and skill and your own taste contribute to that perceived value. What is the consequence when you introduce a machine that instantly produces beautiful sunset paintings? Not because of a learned skill or hard effort, but because it has studied hundreds, if not thousands, of artists to create a bastardization of their efforts. I would suggest that in this scenario, the original sunset painting does still have value, but it's only protected by its authenticity. Without knowing it's hand-painted, that original sunset painting is easily overlooked and just assumed to be another machine-processed sunset. This AI copycat phenomenon recently occurred with the legendary Studio Ghibli. Thanks to ChatGPT, anyone can now Ghiblify themselves. And it's pretty bleak, especially when a fascist government is doing it to seem cute and quirky. What will happen in a few years as this reduces the studio's iconic handcrafted look to something anyone can just use on their selfies? What is the value of art when it is no more than a robot's impersonation? Now, not to overplay myself as the victim, but here's the thing. Miyazaki and Studio Ghibli have had more than 40 years to develop their signature style. By 2025, when someone is Ghiblifying their selfie, it's ethically atrocious, but it's still attributed as Ghiblification. For me, the work I'm seeing appear as AI zombies, it's only a few years old. This doesn't really hold the same attribution. I just get amalgamated into the slop. I'm not trying to play the victim, but how are other artists besides me going to develop their voices if anything they do just immediately becomes part of the slop? When I look at the small crop of my work that it's taken me years to make and see this horde of soulless knockoffs starting to accumulate, it does make me question why I make stuff at all. One of my favorite things that I've made over the past year has been this fruit stand character. I was planning on making a proper short film with him, and I still might, but this emergence of new AI technology really makes me second guess that. A year ago, I thought he was complex and detailed enough that he was immune to AI recreation. The fruit stand character was a spark of inspiration that I had one night coming home after SNL, when I saw a fruit stand at 4 a.m. in the pouring rain. It just struck me as such a fragile, hardworking, vulnerable character. I knew I had to tell his story. How it spends its days, its nights, how it gets around, the isolation, danger, and existential woes of being a fruit stand. In the next year, AI will be able to make incredibly detailed videos of robotic fruit stands, but they'll be pointless. Not because an AI-generated fruit stand necessarily has less value than its counterpart, but because they'll be surrounded by all the other cheap instant AI content. There's already such an absurd abundance of talented artists making stuff on the internet. The fire hose of AI-generated content only waters that down. No pun intended. And not to sound overly sensationalist, but it's just like Syndrome from The Incredibles. When everybody can make amazing art, no one can. If we can all just blink and create 1,000 Mona Lisas of our own design, there's little reason anyone else should care. So where do we go from here? I think a lot of this is just going to play out beyond anyone's control as these tech CEOs continue to cull VFX artist jobs, reduce production budgets, and churn out as much slop as they can for cheap. I make a bigger effort these days to show that I'm a real person making stuff, with breakdowns behind the scenes, but who knows, maybe people will start faking those with AI too. Thanks for watching.